Hello folks, J. Scott Phillips here, and today we are bound for the Salvation Army, or the Goodwill, or something. I am embarking on a huge purge of books from my library here, and it's probably going to take a while in order to clear the bookcases out of books that I no longer have an interest in holding on to or think that I will ever read for whatever reasons. Now, I've got thousands of books in my personal library here, but half of those are books that I've inherited either from my parents or my sister or from other people who have just tried to be clearing out libraries and have offered personal libraries and have offered me books of my choice and things like that. And I've tried to help them out. I hate to see a book get thrown away just because people don't have the bookshelves anymore or are trying to get rid of parents' old books or whatever it is. So I've held on to everything that I could, but I can't do it anymore. I'm out of room. I keep buying books that I do want myself, and it's time for purging. So I took a couple of boxes of books from the shelves this morning to a local bookstore in Fullerton. And what their policy is that every morning they will open their desk for not donations, but to return or to sell books to them from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And you're allowed to take in two bankers boxes size of books up to them. During which time, during those hours, they will evaluate them and come up with an offer for whatever they're interested in buying from them. It's the first time I've ever done something like this. Like I say, I've always tried to hold on to books that have come my way, and I've tried to give them a home for the rest of their days, or the rest of my days, whatever the case might be. But I took two boxes up to this little shop in downtown Fullerton, and they accepted one box's worth. They had separated all the books out. And they had separated out the books they were interested in buying from me, and then set aside the books that they weren't interested in buying from me. And they said that I could either take them back or leave them with them, and they would dispose of them appropriately. And that makes me nervous. I imagine a big dumpster in the back might be the appropriate way of getting rid of these books, and I don't like that idea at all. But I understand that that's just the life we're facing here sometimes. But so I took them back and thought I'd give them one more chance. So so this is an unhauling video. I've never done an unhaul video before. I've seen a few, and they're sometimes interesting. These are the books that this particular bookstore did not want for various reasons. They said that some of them are kind of obsolete. There's a few political books in the mix here, and from the George W. Bush administration era. And apparently, this makes sense to me. Once a president has been out of office for a while and is no longer in the news, books like that kind of become less interesting and less relevant. No one picks them up to read them. They might have been popular for a few minutes at the time when they were making headlines, etc. But they're not big sellers, so they weren't interested in taking them. Another couple of books are big old coffee table books that are a little out of date. And then I've got a section of nonfiction books, and then I've got some fiction books, which are some popular titles. Some is fairly obscure, but the popular titles are so prevalent that they don't need any more. They got plenty in stock, and so couldn't really use them. Also, I guess a problem for a lot of these books from the old shelves of mine here are without dust jackets, and that lowers the saleability, the sales appeal of a lot of them, I guess. So anyway, I thought I would just do a video here where I go through the books that they didn't want and see if anyone's interested in them. If you are, and if you have an interest in any one of these books here, for whatever reason, I can ship it to you if you live anywhere in the lower 48 states here in the U.S. I'm not going to ship them overseas, but send the media mail to you if you want any of them. If not, then maybe this is just a video showing some of these books that you may have a passing interest in at least seeing what I am dealing with here. And if this video works out in any way, if people just enjoy watching it to see books people are getting rid of, or that I'm getting rid of in this case, maybe I'll do some more of them. Total experiment here, but let's see what I got here. So the first book in the nonfiction section, we'll start with those, is this big old coffee table book called Maui on My Mind, and this came out in 1985 or something, and it again, missing its dust jacket, but this was one of those old coffee table books of I'm going to see if I can get back here and show you some of the pages here. Big old pictures of Maui. Don't know how well these are going to be able to be viewed on there, but there's a little text to go along with the stories here, but mostly it's a coffee table book of a lot of cool shots of things and scenes around Maui, and it's in great condition, except no dust jacket. Then there's another big old coffee table book here called The Great Book of Jewels. Again, no dust jacket, but this is the story of how gemstones are made into jewelry. And it's a book that I've absolutely no interest in whatsoever, but if you are maybe someone who is interested in making jewelry, selling them online, Etsy kind of stuff or something, or if you're just a fan of this kind of artwork or this kind of procedure, there it is. I'm not sure how that came into my family's possession. Probably one of my mom's or my sister's books, but I don't know the history there on those. This book is a history book. It's called Hitler Close Up. And this looks to be mostly a picture book of the life of Hitler and his reign during World War II, the Third Reich, and that kind of a thing. Something I have absolutely no interest in as far as a personal look at Hitler. Don't know who might. Probably not a popular book for the bookstore that I took it into anyway, but I hate to see any book just tossed out, so trying to give it one more chance. Then this next book here is called 102 Minutes, again, no dust jacket, by Jim Dwyer and Kevin Flynn, and it's this a book that was written, when was this written? Probably the very early 2000s. Where's the copyright here? 2005, yeah. And it's the story of the 102 minutes of the falling of the World Trade Center in New York on 9/11. And so, nonfiction book. There's a few photos of people that were involved in that day and the investigation, et cetera, et cetera. Great shape, but no dust jacket. Then these next 4 books? Yeah, these next 4 books, 2 with dust jackets, 2 without, are books that came out about George W. Bush during his administration. One is called Bushwhacked by Molly Ivins and Lou Dubois. Bushwhacked, not a very flattering look at the life and legend of George W. Bush during his administration. Another one here called Rise of the Vulcans. This is an interesting book here. It's not a Star Trek book, but it is about his war cabinet and the personages that George W. Bush had in his administration. That many of them went back even to the Nixon administration. Then the next one here is The Price of Loyalty. Dust jacket, finally on this one here. George W. Bush, The White House, and the Education of Paul O'Neill by Ron Suskind. So this is in really good condition. I don't know if I bought this myself or how this came to be. Never been read. So it's in excellent condition. And then this last one here, ironically titled The Leadership Genius of George W. Bush. 10 Common Sense Lessons from the Commander-in-Chief by Carolyn B. Thompson and James W. Ware. Again, no idea how I acquired this book, but it looks to be in excellent condition. Never been read. So there's that. Now I'll I'll be right back here while I go and get the fiction books, which may be a little more interest here. Let's see what happens. All right, so this first book here from the fiction shelf is The Women in His Life by Barbara Taylor Bradford. So a romance book. I believe this was either my mother's or my sister's book here. It seems a little familiar. Again, no dust jacket. This may be a book that I bought one of them for a birthday or Christmas or something like that. But I don't know what it's about. I did print out some notes here for some of these that I don't know what the books are about, just so you might know. Can't tell by looking at the cover, obviously. But The Women in His Life here, the little notes on this are: he is Maximilian West, billionaire tycoon and corporate raider extraordinaire. He is a figure of almost mythical power, an enigma to all who know him. But when his world is suddenly shattered, Maxim must make peace with his turbulent past and begin to understand the remarkable women who have loved and protected him. From the streets of London to the suites of New York, from the rise of Nazi Germany to the fall of the Berlin Wall, The Women in His Life takes us on an unforgettable journey of survival, secrets, love, and redemption that mesmerizes from the first page to last. The Women in His Life. The next one here is The Voyage. Yeah, this is a book that, again, no book cover, but this is by Philip Caputo. And this is a sea adventure, a tale of daring do starts out around 1900, I think. And it's a story of this guy in Maine who, for his own reasons, sends his sons, 3 or 4 sons, don't remember how many exactly, but sends them off, just shoos them out of Maine to take the family schooner on a voyage just to get them out of town for the summer. And 100 years later, then, the great-granddaughter of this guy decides to start delving into why was such a voyage made, and starts to uncover all kinds of horrible family secrets of murder and intrigue and things. So it was interesting, but I can let that one go because I've got a mass market paperback of it that will suit me just fine. So then we move on to The Alienist, another book that you probably have heard about many times, and I can let this one go out because, again, I've got a paperback copy of it and don't need it at all. But The Alienist by Caleb Carr, and this, of course, is, if you don't know, it's kind of a murder thriller, again, set around 1900 in New York City, and an alienist is an antiquated term for a psychologist, and this was a crime investigation in the early days of trying to use psychological profiling to find the killer. And then we move on to Stranger in Two Worlds by Hugh Clevely, not sure how to pronounce it. There it is. Again, no dust jacket, but I'll just read from the notes here about what that is about. My mother and sister both were big into romance books and historical fiction. Now, I like a lot of historical fiction, and of course, so did they. And so some of these books, I think, are in the old library here because, again, like I said earlier, they may be books that I bought for them for a Christmas or birthday, something like that, or my father did, or maybe one of my sister's kids did. Doesn't matter. This one is going away here. Stranger in Two Worlds by Hugh Clevely, I'm going to say. And the notes here say, in the sweeping, full-blooded novel, a practiced storyteller relates an odyssey which moves from the old hemisphere to the new and spans the period from the Sepoy Mutiny to the famous Chicago Fire. As a small child, Justin Kelly knew hunger, disease, and constant fear of death in the siege of Lucknow. His mother had eloped with a sergeant in the British Army, and destiny found them in the stricken city at a time when extermination of the last British inhabitants seemed almost certain. Sounds kind of interesting. Justin will lose both his parents in the siege, and his utter bewilderment is sent to Ireland, where a cold and polished grandfather undertakes his care. Justin is determined to surmount the confusion of his heritage and search for a way of life uniquely his own. Through an entanglement with a beautiful Fenian firebrand, now we're getting somewhere, through near ambushes and escapes, through a descent into the Dickensian slums of London, and finally to America, there at last on the ashes of the Chicago fire, he builds his career. I might hold on to this one. I'm going to set that one aside here. We'll see. Okay, the next one here is Tangled Vines by Janet Daly. Nice mauve cover here. Again, no dust jacket. Wish I knew what they were. I guess I could have looked them up, but they won't help me at this point. So, Tangled Vines, Janet Daly. Elegant 90-year-old Catherine Rutledge runs her family's Napa Valley winery. Her estranged son runs a rival winery, and an alcoholic neighbor, Len Doherty, lives on 10 acres of the Rutledge vineyard given to his family as compensation for the accidental death of his father. Meanwhile, beautiful, ambitious Kelly Douglas, a rising TV newscaster, is assigned to prepare an in-depth report on the Rutledge winery, which is in negotiations to merge with a French winery. Kelly long ago escaped Doherty, her physically abusive father, and doesn't want to go back home. Then there is a murder in which her father is the prime suspect, while complications arise regarding a budding romance with Sam Rutledge, Catherine's grandson, and the manager of the Rutledge winery. So, daring do up in Napa Valley. That's the one I set aside. Next book, you're probably very familiar with. Again, no dust jacket, unfortunately, but The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. And again, this is one that I can let go because I've got probably a couple of paperbacks of it. But I do like artwork. If you know my channel, you know I like cover art. There isn't any here except for this little foil stamp engraving here. But if you're not familiar with it, it's kind of a 14th century Sherlock Holmes story, about a Franciscan friar in Italy during the 1300s who is coming into this monastery where one of his brethren has been murdered, and so he is set to investigate it. And his methods are very Sherlockian in nature. Next book here is Cinnabar by Robert B. Oxnam. Beautiful cover there. Again, sorry, no dust jacket. But what is Cinnabar about? Cinnabar, a novel of China by Robert B. Oxnam. An ornamental Chinese lacquer box is the key to a priceless art collection, hidden for a century in this rich and complex narrative of Chinese history, culture, and life today. And then next is Trinity by Leon Uris, another book that many people are going to be familiar with. And again, it's one that I've got a paperback copy of, which will serve me just fine. This has no cover art on it and takes up a lot more space, so I'm going to let Trinity go here. Story of the Irish fight for independence in the 1900s. I kind of told through two families in Ireland. And then finally, one of my favorite books of all time, actually, The Caine Mutiny by Herman Wouk. And this looks to be, again, no dust jacket, but the texture has kind of got that pebbly finish like a book club edition. Well, I believe this is a book club edition. It's got this cool map here of things that happen in the story for the end sheets. And great book. This is one of my favorite books of all time, as I say. World War II story, Navy story, and if you've ever seen the movie starring Humphrey Bogart and Fred McMurray, the famous courtroom scene, it's been a play. Terrific story, really gets to... my dad was a Navy man during World War II, and so he told me a lot of stories. This one feels like right in that same world here. And if you're familiar with the story at all, or seen the movie or the play, the famous courtroom scene where Captain Queeg is being torpedoed by his men, hence the mutiny here. that only is halfway through the book here. Where the movie ends, the book keeps going and follows Queeg and his adventures and what, I guess you call them adventures or not, but what becomes of Queeg and the mutineers after the end of what you are probably more familiar with in the movie. Fantastic book, but I'm going to let that one go as well. And there you have it. If you are interested in any one of these books here and you live in the contiguous 48 United States, send me an email. My email is in the notes down below, and let me know which book you're interested in. Be interested also to know why you might be interested in it. Might as well start up a conversation if possible. If you're not interested in any of the books in particular, but you enjoy the video, just kind of going through books that I'm releasing back into the wild here, let them fend for themselves, give them one more chance out there. Maybe you can rescue one of them yourself if you're interested. All right, well, I'm kind of making this up as I go along, and as I'm editing this together, I realize that I should stipulate a couple of more things. And one is that anyone who is interested in a book, if you're watching this, get in touch with me through the email below, like I mentioned. But I'm going to be cutting this off after about a week here. So let me know by Monday, September 23rd. That's a week from today as I'm recording this anyway. And let me know if you want a book and which one. Otherwise, I am going to let them go. I'm going to take them off to a thrift shop or a local library book sale or a little free library in the neighborhood or something. They're going to go away by this time next week, or by this time tomorrow next week. So let me know, and I return you back to the video here for a couple more seconds. So that's about it for now, folks. Let me know what you think, and until we get a chance to chat about something else again in the book-related world, thanks for watching.